Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I am your host, Liz. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Marcus.
What up, party people?
Happy Impact Day. Did it impact you?
Oh,
Was
wow.
it impactful?
Do you like to use impact font?
No.
Oh. I do sometimes, actually.
I never do.
That's like one of my favorite fonts, weirdly enough.
Oh, really? My favorite's I'm actually a big Proxima Nova one. It's one of my favorite ones. And Poppins. Poppins is cute.
I've never seen Poppins before.
Remember Poppins from It's Always Sunny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm big.
Anyways, that's not what this show's
guy.
about. Oh god, okay. That is not the point of the show.
Yeah, so Impact. Oh boy, we have a lot to talk about. Firstly enough, though, we have a little bit of an update on the G1 predictions. I know we didn't talk about going over this first, but I feel like this might be a good way to start the show.
Yes, it is.
Get it out of the way. So, not going to give an update on any of the match winners, but just talk about our block picks, because we picked the winners of each block, and the semi-final winners, and then the final winner. So, the only one of our picks that's out right now is my pick for a block, Tom Lawler. So Liz is already up by one against me, so hopefully things turn around. That D block is getting very contentious, and it might have even been updated since I last checked, because I don't know if I checked today or yesterday. But I'm going to use this as a nice segue into saying that we'll be doing our predictions for Impact's Emergence, after the bests of the night tonight. And like I mentioned yesterday, we won't be doing a recap of Emergence. We'll just be talking about how our predictions went, transferring the title, hopefully. And
hopefully not. Just in case you're wondering what the title is, I want you to all remember the title is an egg with tits and a top hat. My lady. The tits were hand drawn by me. He's got like a nice, or she, I don't know, whatever the egg identifies as. The egg has a nice bodice. Look at that waist snatched, if you will. Can keep the hat like tilted to the side, yeah. An air of mystery.
I want everyone to know that egg was originally a birthday gift for me from a dear friend.
You're friends with deers? That's nice. I didn't even know they had the money to buy gifts.
We'll be recapping Emergence, or our predictions for Emergence, on Monday, which is our King of the Ring 2K22 live stream. So all that will be happening there. But yeah, Emergence predictions tonight after Best of the Night. And we had to go home to Emergence today.
We did. We emerged, or we haven't really emerged yet, have we?
Wasn't a super exciting show. We had a couple pretty good matches. One great match, a 20-minute banger between Rocky Romero and Mike Bailey.
I think that was them trying to make up for the fact that they didn't really have a main event.
Yeah, probably.
Like, that was the main event.
Yeah. And then we had a 15-minute contract signing segment to finish off the night between Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley, where Alex Shelley absolutely smoked Josh promo-wise. That was rough.
Josh said, "You're not winning this title, so you're allowed to win this fucking promo."
Yeah. Shelley fucking called him a mark for an Alex Shelley mark. He basically put over Chris Sabin too in that same promo, saying that he's been fighting through 3 torn ACLs. Shelley showed us why he's one of the best. Um, but aside from that, we also had the in-ring debut of Killer Kelly.
Debut.
A little squash match against some OVW talent, Tiffany Nieves. We had Diener versus Kushida ahead of Violent by Design versus Chris Sabin and Kushida. And then we opened the show with Kenny King versus Carl Anderson ahead of Honor No More versus Bullet Club. I think that's 10-man tag match or 12-man? I think 10-man. 10-man makes sense.
10.
Okay. Oh, and we also had Madison Rayne versus Mia Yim ahead of Mia Yim's match against Jordan Grace for the Knockouts title.
Yeah, Jordan was a bit of a bitch today.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
I'm hoping Mia Yim comes out of that with that title. We love to see her with that title. For
I feel like she might. I feel like she has a decent enough chance. She's a fan favorite. You know?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that Jordan isn't, but
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see which titles change hands at Emergence, especially since the men's tag titles aren't up, right?
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
No, because the guys who would be fighting for it are in the 10-man.
Yeah. That might be at the next pay-per-view, kind of.
Yeah. Is the next one Bound for Glory?
I don't think so, because it's August. I'm sure there's probably something in September. Isn't there's
Let's see.
There's something. I've had their ticket site open for a while now. So.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm sure
I only just recently closed out of it.
I'm sure it's on Cage Match. Oh no, it's not. Okay. Good to know. Wow, Bound for Glory is not even on Cage Match right now. It's just Overdrive, which is in November, and Kentucky Chaos, which is in November.
I remember seeing Overdrive, and I was like, that looks like bullshit. That looks like Fastlane.
Yeah, probably. Is there no schedule? Oh, I guess events. Emergence, Lone Star. Victory Road, of course, because that's always the lead up to Bound for Glory. Victory Road. And that's happening September 23rd. All right, so you want to talk about some news?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up the news first. There's not a ton of news today.
We did go about the news yesterday.
Yeah, not a ton has happened between now and then. I think it's mostly WWE news. Fun little AEW fact, actually. Did you hear about the Wingmen?
No.
The Workhorse Men are now part of the Wingmen. Because, I mean, JD was already part of the Wingmen for a minute. So now, technically, it's just Anthony Henry's part of the Wingmen, which I love. I am so excited.
Yeah.
Because also maybe we'll get to see more of them.
You see, I thought the thing was JD Drake was out of Wingmen and just teaming with Anthony Henry as the Workhorseman.
No, it looks like he took a break from the Wingmen, more or less. And now Peter Avalon has finally announced that the Workhorsemen are Wingmen. He said now there are 5 hot boys in the group. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them. Expanding their interests, if you will. I guess also in AEW news, Jeff Hardy's hearing was pushed back 60 days because, I guess that just fucking happens. It was scheduled for August 17th. It was pushed back 60 days, and he waived the right to a speedy trial, which I think is fair because I'm pretty sure if he had a speedy trial, they'd say, no, you were drunk, and they would end it at that.
Yeah.
Which, All right, let's talk about some dub. Actually, no, let's talk about some AW news. Chris Statlander finally like broke her silence about her injury, and apparently it wasn't necessarily. You said something about her foot landing on her foot wrong.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was her knee. She fucked up her one knee before, and now she has fucked up her other knee. She made a tweet about it, and I feel really bad for her because she was like, "I'm sorry for letting you all down." And I was like, "Oh no, Chris, please stop."
Yeah, no details as far as timeline or specific injury, but apparently she was backstage at AEW with crutches. So hopefully she recovers soon.
Yeah, it sucks, especially with like a new gimmick.
And apparently she was in line to get a huge push. Like, quote, huge push.
But you know what? She's a fan favorite. When she comes back, it's going to be a massive pop. And on top of that, it's going to be probably a huge push. Yeah, especially hopefully. If they keep pushing the women's champions the way they have been to the point where it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in not WWE news, but sort of WWE news, Ric Flair. Have you heard about Ric Flair? Have you heard about what Ric Flair said?
Think so.
Ric Flair said in a quote, and this is a direct quote, "I wish I hadn't said that was my last match. That's going to get heat. Hell, they wanted me to wrestle in Puerto Rico on Saturday night. I said, guys, I cannot get in the ring 1 week later." And the guy looked at me and said, "Well, you know what? Could retire in Puerto Rico, can't you?" No, that's not the point. So Ric Flair is kind of teasing that he might actually come back again.
I mean...
If he does, I swear to God.
A lot of people expect him to not retire and come back at some point, which it's Ric Flair. He loves that shit.
Loves the spotlight, baby.
And considering he passed out twice in the last match, I feel like it might get to the point where we see a man die in the ring.
Golly gee, I'd hope not.
Yeah, same.
All right.
If we want to go back to AEW news, I got a quick AEW news piece real quick.
Theoretically, that could almost be AEW news because Andrade is his son-in-law. So.
Oh, okay.
I'll give that the segue.
And Jay Lethal too. Jay Lethal is also.
And Jay Lethal's also his son-in-law.
So according to Brian Alvarez apparently reported that Buddy Matthews was off TV recently, not due to injury at all, as some people thought, but rather he took unapproved bookings and was benched for a while. So not everyone has the luxury of being able to take independent bookings whenever they want to. Seemingly. Buddy Matthews seems to be one of those people, and we saw him pop up in some Australian promotion where he was like, I don't remember the name of it, might have been like MCW or something. But he that's unfortunate, especially since Buddy Matthews is an incredible wrestler, and I feel like he shouldn't be taken off TV for taking other bookings unless it was in an agreement he had and he breached that agreement. In which case I understand.
That I understand it. I mean, especially when you don't want him to get injured. There's so much risk involved, especially when he's in like this big faction right now. I'm sure that they are like, we can't risk that.
And especially when all of your top guys are injured. And at that point, Malachi Black was going through an injury too. That would make it 2 out of the 3 members of your faction. 2 out of the 4 members of your faction out on injury. That's not good. But it's good to see him back. I'm wondering who else is part of that list that can't take independent bookings. I feel like names like Darby Allin, Adam Page, among others. Can't take independent bookings.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I know, like, especially it's interesting that they're letting Thunder Rosa not necessarily take independent bookings because it is still technically benefiting AEW in a big way. But it's interesting that they're letting her wrestle overseas because I know with Britt they weren't doing that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cases where it was an approved booking. Like, how she wrestled at Warrior Wrestling just after getting the title. Did she wrestle there or did she just relinquish the title? I think she just relinquished it, actually. But mentioning Britt, now that you mentioned her, right as soon as she lost that title, she was on some booking. I think it was like Enjoy Wrestling. She made an appearance, I think, with Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona.
I mean, if it's with Chelsea Green, how are you going to tell the difference between the two of them? That's that Twin Magic bullshit.
But yeah. So I guess it's a champions thing and probably a lot of their prospects type thing. Yeah.
It makes sense. It's not. All right, so we're gonna phase into some WWE news. If you were hoping that you'd never see Brock Lesnar again, you're gonna be sorely fucking mistaken. Brock Lesnar is on the advertising for WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, and so is Kofi Kingston with the worst picture I've ever seen of Kofi Kingston. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but they're like selling for that like pre-sale that big show that they were talking about on Raw and NXT.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling tickets for it, and Kofi, like if you use like True Kofi at checkout, you can get a discount. And Kofi Kingston tweeted this like graphic for it, and he looks fucking atrocious. And he's even like, ignore the horrible picture, but also here's the promo code. And I was like, oh my god, my poor man, why did they do you like this? That's cruelty. But yeah, Brock Lesnar's on the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood advertising. Sorry, I forgot the word. Which, you know, maybe it's just wishful thinking for them.
Yeah. Speaking of WWE, I may have found a little bit of a breaking story, if I can confirm it.
I'm going to keep going before you do, okay?
Okay.
In addition to that, we have news that AJ Francis has been expected to be at the August 12th episode of SmackDown. So we might be seeing that. We might be seeing Ashante Adonis also back, which would be really great, especially if they can get B-Fab back, because I'm sure, you know, Swerve was a big part of oh, why am I blanking? Hit Row. Fuck me, they said their name every fucking 5 minutes.
Hit Row.
I don't miss that. But Swerve was a big part, but I don't think that they would be totally fucked without him. So I'd really love to see the return of that. Also, there are rumors that Cody's coming back sooner rather than later. He is expected to be at the August 22nd Raw taping. He is on the advertising at the Scotiabank Arena. So maybe they're going to Adam Cole him and have him come back before he's cleared to like talk shit, get hit, kind of stuff. And then my final piece of news is about Bray Wyatt. I don't know what your piece of news is about. If it's confirmed.
It's not news. It's not confirmed. It was somebody posted that the 24/7 championship was retired according to WWE's website, but that is not the case. I'm on the website right now. It's still Dana Brooke as the 24/7 champion.
If only. So Bray Wyatt, as everyone knows, vanished. According to Wrestle Talk, nobody had a fucking clue where, like, nobody backstage had a clue where the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton feud was going. No one had a goddamn idea. And then after he was released, a lot of wrestlers said that they didn't feel comfortable pushing back on creative because Bray Wyatt, that was like the whole reason he was released. There's a report that Vince McMahon would talk mad shit to Bray about his body. And now there's speculation that Bray Wyatt is going to return to the WWE. John Cena fueled that speculation. A lot of people think that his recent tweets have been angling towards that. And then on top of that, a person who works with him heavily said, "I can't speak for him, but I know I've heard his name brought up, and I don't know how you couldn't feel better about coming in now if you were him." In relation to with Triple H being in charge. Mm-hmm. So I personally just want to put my ideas out there. I would love for the cameras to just kind of like, we think we're cutting to commercial or we think we're cutting to black, but what do we cut to instead? The Firefly Funhouse. Or even creepier, even better than that, you know what we cut to? You know what we do? You know how, God, what was it? There's some movie, it's a really popular movie, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it, where this guy he like worked at a cinema, and he would intersperse like one single frame of like something horribly grotesque into like movies. So like it would flash on screen and then...
They did that in Fight Club.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. I was like wondering if it was Fight Club or not.
It wasn't anything grotesque though. It was just
wasn't it frames. Like porn or something?
No, well, it was frames of Tyler Durden. Some of them.
I remember it was frame. Like it wasn't like. Sorry, I didn't mean to say scene. I just meant like it was like a single frame. It would flash on screen, and then like people would be like, "Huh." But it would be so.
I think Seven also did that.
No, I don't think Seven did that. I don't know. That's not the point of the show. If you know what movie did that, comment. But it'd be so cool if we're like, you know, wrestling match just ends. We're about to go backstage, but between the going backstage, like the fade out from the commentary to the fade in from like, I don't know, fucking Kevin backstage trying to talk to Finn and it's two Irish guys. We should have a less than like 2-second clip of the empty Firefly Funhouse. Just there and gone. That'd be so fucking cool. Triple H, do it. Sorry, I spooked myself. I got so excited.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. It was well, in the movie Fight Club, Tyler Durden, he in the movie splices in single frames of porn.
Okay, yeah. But it was something graphic.
But then like in the movie, single frames of Tyler Durden are flashed in.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just think that would be really fucking cool. Mm-hmm. And spooky, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is creep people out.
I think there should be an entire episode where everything feels just like off. Like there's puppets everywhere.
The one thing I don't want commentary to say shit about it. Mm-hmm. I don't want commentary being like, "Oh, that was weird." I want commentary to be like, anyways, because I want them to, because like that's what makes it uncanny valley, kind of like, mm-hmm. You know. Sorry, I just. Yeah. Oh, Bray Wyatt returning, Firefly Funhouse returning. Oh my god. I want wobbling rollers. I want what's the little fucking.
I don't remember.
Little fucking no, the rabbit.
Yeah, the rabbit.
Rambling Rabbit.
Ramblin' Rabbit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fucking, what was it, Abigail or something?
Mm-hmm. I hope we just get. I'm hoping for Swamp Bray or maybe something new. Something new will be fun.
No, Firefly Funhouse works for me.
Do you have any more news for us?
Nah, I got nothing for you.
Okay.
I also don't have the right sign up.
Then let's talk about tonight's Impact. We started off the night with Kenny King versus Carl Anderson.
And I started off the night with a tummy ache.
Good to know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like a little caffeinated. So we start with a drop toe hold that gets King the upper hand until Carl kind of slips free of what becomes a side headlock. Get some arm drags. Anderson hits a back elbow to King that slows King down just a little bit. Gets him out on the apron, but King counters the blows that Carl is dealing out by hanging Carl's knee up on the middle ropes. And then he starts targeting that knee mercilessly, just like, kicking it, knocking it around, as you do. Carl and King start exchanging blows as Carl finally starts getting back to his feet, getting back to where he needs to be. Then, however, King stomps that knee, hits him with a dragon screw. Carl manages an uppercut, slows King down a little bit before hitting a few lariats, a power slam. Carl starts to feel himself. And it's funny, I typed that the moment Tom Hannafan said that, and I was like, we then get a senton onto King that nearly lands on King's face. King, however, gets a scorpion kick to Carl, which precedes several blows and an exploder suplex. Then we get the strangest sort of cross-legged submission on Carl. Carl ends up reaching the bottom rope, though. King then gets Carl up on his shoulders and sets up for, I don't fucking know what, looked kind of like a fireman's carry takeover, but Carl ends up reversing it, hits the gun stun, and wins the fucking match right then and there.
Yeah. Pretty good match. Pretty fun. But after the match, Kenny King attacks Carl Anderson, but then Heath comes out. The honor assassin that he is, the honor hunter, attacks Kenny King. And then runs away. So then we get a video package for Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander ahead of their contract signing. And then we go right to Diener versus Kushida.
Right. And this was actually kind of a hell of a match. But it's also Kushida. I mean, how could it not be a hell of a match?
Mm-hmm.
We get a kick to the leg of Diener twice before Kushida takes control, grabs the arm of Diener. Kushida then gets a headlock on Diener, grinds into it, but when Diener gets free, he gets hit with a forearm. When Diener gets free, Diener gets hit with a forearm. I don't think I phrased that properly. We then get an arm drag, and then Diener fakes out the third arm drag, making Kushida kind of twirl and land on the ground. Stomps on Kushida. It doesn't really matter. We get a shote to Diener twice before Diener is sent to the apron, and then furthermore, sent off the apron after Kushida hangs Diener's arm up on the ropes. Diener then runs around the ring, tries to get away from Kushida by running towards Doring. So Kushida and Doring kind of face off, and Sabin tries to take on Doring as Kushida does this full face-off. And then Diener takes advantage by running around the entire ring and attacking Kushida from behind. Diener then bites Kushida for good measure before we go to commercial break, which I thought was just a nice little touch. We then get some big chops to Diener, but Diener fights back by clawing the eyes of Kushida. We get a boot to Diener and some kidney shots, but Kushida gets the upper hand, gets the big crossbody, gets the Pele kick before hitting that hip toss drop kick that he loves to fucking do. We then, however, get a jobber to Kushida after Kushida goes for the back elbow. Diener stops him from getting it, hits the clothesline instead. Then Diener goes up top. Kushida, however, dislodges him with a little kick, meets him up there. I will hiccup. And then he tries to go for that hoverboard lock off the top rope, but instead Doring kind of gets on the apron. He tries to distract. He barks at the ref. Sabin levels his ass. Kushida is then knocked down. Diener goes for the diving headbutt, misses that because Kushida avoids it. And then Kushida just wins with a huge fisherman suplex.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very fun match. We then go have a promo from Brian Myers. He says he's talking to a bunch of people about beating Black Taurus. Boopinder then walks in. He says, "I'm done with your mind games. I challenge you for the digital media title. You said champion never says no to a challenge." Myers says, "Think you got what it takes? Want to be the verified pro wrestler? See you at Emergence." Straight to the point. We then had a promo from Eric Young after Diener's loss. He's saying to VBD, "He keeps saying you revile the sickness, and I have given you opportunity to rid it. You fail time and time again. Tomorrow it's Violent by Design versus Chris Sabin and Kushida. There's one option left, for the designer to step in. I have been saying this world doesn't belong to them or belong to us. This world belongs to me. Violent by Design." So hopefully it's Young and Doring versus Kushida and Sabin. If Diener's in that match, it is not going to be it's going to be very predictable. Then we have Tiffany Nieves versus the debuting Killer Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to say here? Nieves slaps Killer Kelly, which is like her first fucking mistake. Gets her shit rocked. I don't normally wear wired headphones, so I just fucking almost yanked them out of my ears. She gets her shit rocked, gets a kick to the arm, and then we get a drop kick to Nieves' face. Killer Kelly gently slithers before getting the killer clutch to win.
Yeah. Then we have a promo from Honor No More. Eddie Edwards does all the talking here. He says 24 hours away and we picked a battle for our existence. It is all on the line tomorrow night. We have been here before. We have been in companies that don't respect us, yet we are still here. Tonight you faced Carl Anderson, Kenny. Sure, you didn't win, but he limped. Because you understand this is about all of us together. PCO, we asked you to prove loyalty, and you did. Because of what we've all done, Bullet Club goes into tomorrow night worse for wear. I have no doubt you guys will get your tag titles, but more importantly, we will continue to spread our message and show all of them that there truly is Honor No More. And then we get Madison Rayne versus Mia Yim.
Right, which was not ideal. Not the best match in the world. We get some arm drags on a sweep of Madison's leg that sends Madison to ringside. Mia kind of chases her around the ring. Madison goes back in the ring. Mia follows her. Madison then gets out of the ring, slams Mia into the ring post head first, chokes her out against the ropes. We get a sliding lariat to Mia. But Mia ends up coming back a little bit. She gets the tarantula hold against the ropes and releases right before the 5 count. She goes for a drop kick, but Rayne avoids, hits her with the Northern Lights suplex. She then slams Mia's head. Madison Rayne then slams Mia's head into the mat vis-a-vis her knees, which honestly I hate that move because I feel like it looks like it protects Mia so much, and it clearly protects Mia so much. You know,
yeah,
like your knees are pretty thick. I don't know. Anyways. Madison then goes for the Hurricane Rana on Mia, but she gets caught. Mia nearly powerbombs her. It's clear that they are not in the right positioning for the powerbomb, so Mia has to kind of reset. She gets the powerbomb, though. We get a cannonball onto Rayne and a cover, but the ring awareness, baby. It's the ring awareness. Madison Rayne has it. Mia Yim apparently doesn't tonight. Madison Rayne grabs the bottom rope. She hits a big crucifix bomb to Mia after back body drop, but Mia ends up blocking the cross Rayne. She gets a Pele kick and then hits Eat Defeat to win.
Yeah. And this was Madison Rayne's last match in Impact. It's official.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jordan Grace made her goodbye tweet to her. So hopefully she kills it over at AEW and brings a lot more light to the women's roster.
I listen, I've got my own opinions about that. I think that's really fucking irresponsible of Tony to bring in another woman when we've got a ton of women that aren't being fucking utilized.
But
it's like telling a kid, like, we've got that at home, and Tony's like, but I want the new one. It's like, Tony, got enough toys.
Yeah, but she is a coach, so she's doing more than just wrestling.
That's true, but they shouldn't have her in there as a wrestler. That's the thing.
Yeah.
As a personality, sure. As a coach, sure. We have enough women's wrestlers.
Like it's one thing if she was having additional matches, but she's taking the spot, like taking half of the only women's match, on the cards. So, after that we had, I guess, a promo from Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo. They're talking about how their bachelorette party, or Deanna's bachelorette party and wedding party, is all set up. They mentioned not knowing what's going on with Decay, but they're gonna win those titles. It's very pointless. We then had a promo from Jordan Grace and Mia Yim. I didn't quite catch the last bit of it. But it's them talking about their title match tomorrow. Jordan throws shade about short title reigns, and then Mia says, "You're all too familiar about short title reigns."
Oh, yeah, she basically was like, oh, yeah, you who had... Because she was like, oh, well, I was a tag team champion. And Mia was like, yeah, the shortest reigning tag team champion. And I was like, Mia, we can't just say that.
After that, we had Rocky Romero versus Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship.
Yeah, and we start this match with like that back and forth, evenly matched bullshit. Everything you can do, I can do better. I hate it. 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 Love Mike Bailey. Love Rocky Romero. Hate that shit. Romero then, however, drop kicks Bailey's foot, getting him into a fitting predicament, but Bailey gets free. And we go to commercial break, and when we come back, the first thing we are greeted by is the gentle sound of a thwack of a man chopping another man's chest. I was like, we don't need music to come back. Bailey then kicks the steel post, which Bailey loves those spots, and I hate those spots because I'm just like, oh, sweet pea, the bones, they're delicate bones. Please, don't hurt yourself. But then he kind of takes like a sort of shitty Hurricane Rana on the ringside area. Romero then hits a knee drop to the arm of Bailey off the top rope. And Romero's whole thing is basically just not even it's not even like focusing on a certain body part. Rocky straight up was just like, I'm gonna break every joint that he has. That seemed to be his plan.
Yeah.
Which, I respect it, sure, whatever. It is a plan, after all. Bailey ends up getting a single leg dropkick, though, to the face of Romero. It slows Romero's momentum significantly. Hits one of his cool little spiral flips onto Romero, but it isn't enough for a cover. Romero ends up getting free. Starts targeting that arm of Bailey. We then get a tornado DDT to Bailey, but it isn't enough to get Romero the title. Bailey goes for those rapid kicks. Still not enough to stop Romero from turning Bailey inside out with a lariat. I'm leaning way too far back. Bailey gets a huge super kick, though. Both men hit the mat. Then we go back to kicking the arm of Bailey before sending him outside of the ring, diving out onto him. Bailey, however, kind of gets his rocks up a little bit, hits the moonsault off the apron before going up top, getting dislodged by Romero. Romero then hits a dropkick off the top rope to the ribs of Speedball. But Romero can't get the 3 count, no matter what he fucking tries. Bailey still gets up, no matter what Romero fucking tries. He hits the double knee moonsault onto Romero, but that's also not enough. Romero goes for the armbar, can't really get that locked in. Then Romero hits the Shiranui to Bailey, which I didn't know that was a fucking thing. Thank you, closed captioning. he wants to slice bread on Bailey, but it almost results in Romero's demise, almost results in him getting rolled up. Bailey then goes for Ultimate Weapon. Rocky avoids it. No worries. Bailey kicks Romero down, gets him with Ultimate Weapon, wins the match, retains, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Then we have, I guess, like the main event, the contract signing between Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley. Scott D'Amore is on the mic. He says, in my 30 plus years in this sport, I have had a lot of roles. Of all the roles, I am always at heart a coach. Tomorrow night at Emergence, two of the very best I have had the honor of coaching are going to square off one-on-one. I'd like to introduce first a multiple-time tag team champ, X Division champ, and an individual for the first time in his career will be challenger for the Impact World Championship. And Alex Shelley comes out, and Scott then says, now his opponent, also a former multiple tag team champion, former X Division champion, and going into Emergence, your current and reigning Impact champion, Josh Alexander. And Josh walks out. Scott says, you both know how excited I am personally. More importantly, is this kind of match is what Impact has been built on. Two world-class wrestlers at the top of their game competing for the ultimate prize. To any wrestling fan, this is a dream match. I'm excited to make it official at this contract signing. Josh, you have exercised your right to sign first. So, Josh says, before we get too far, I need to echo what Scott said. Nobody is more excited than me. I have wanted this match for a very long time. It's going to be one hell of a match. The first time I bought a ticket to a wrestling show was 2005. You were on the card. The reason I remembered you more than anyone else, I saw what everyone else has seen for 2 decades. You're unafraid to be so unique. You dare to be original in an unoriginal business. The day after that show, I stepped in the ring for the first time. In those 17 years, we have never had a one-on-one match. In those years, I've seen the effect you've had on the business. I've seen the dozens of Alex Shelley copycats you've left along the way. It'll be my honor to beat the real Alex Shelley. Shelley then responds, I have copious amounts of respect for you, and I feel our careers have run parallel in a lot of ways. Both X Division champions and very influential tag teams. Although Motor City Machine Guns may be a little more influential than the North. You've been able to do something I haven't been able to. You're Impact champion. You've taken down everybody, and you just said you were going to beat me. You mentioned a plethora of Alex Shelley copycats. What makes you think you're different from any of those clones? Alexander says, I'm more of a Chris Sabin guy. A guy that's won the big one before. That begs the question, as somebody who's followed your career so closely, why haven't you been able to win the big one? Unless the problem is you. Unless it's self-sabotage. I didn't get it until I won this championship. It comes with pressure and responsibility. I think you're scared. So I hope you're over that. Tomorrow night, I don't want to beat Alex Shelley at his best. I need to beat Alex Shelley better than his best. Alex Shelley's best hasn't been good enough to get the job done in the past. Then Shelley says, I have had this many world title shots in Impact. My love for pro wrestling is wavered by an EKG reading over the years. I'm not going to argue with you about passion of wrestling. You talk about the pressure, but do you understand what Chris Sabin has gone through as champion? It's not 1, it's not 2, it's 3 torn ACLs. He's guaranteed to have both knees replaced. You've been caught on too. Your neck is fused. You've got a torn pec, torn bicep, torn lat, torn ACL, a number of orthopedic injuries. That's not going to be the biggest hurdle you face when you step in the ring with me. It's going to be everything related to your psyche. When you look across from me, you're going to look at Alex Shelley, your hero. You'll be transported back to 2005 on the other side of that guardrail, being a high school senior who became a wrestler 24 hours later because of me. I'm going to see an Alex Shelley mark. So at Emergence, I'm not going to leave you empty-handed, but you're not leaving with that. Let me give you a consolation prize. He signs the contract and says, there's your Alex Shelley autograph, and then leaves. He smoked him.
That was fucking intense.
My God, this match is going to be a match of the year contender. I can already see it. My God.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
they don't call it a dream match for nothing, baby.
Yeah. Well, that's tonight's Impact. You want to talk about some bests of the night?
Fuck.
It's just been one long news segment. Been a lot of news.
Listen, at the end of the day,
yeah,
this is news.
it is news. All right. So before we get to the best of the night, if you have a question for us, you want to ask us anything, we love talking to you. We love answering your questions. Leave it in the chat now. It can be about anything. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. We'll get to it in the next one. If you're listening on Spotify, join us at twitch.tv/pinfall podcast to chat with us live, or DM us on Twitter at Pinfall Podcast. We love answering your questions. All right. And before we get to the best of the night, once again, let's quickly go through the top 10 wrestlers in pro wrestling. Wins, losses, all that shit. The objective top 10 wrestlers in pro wrestling. So, number 10, the winner of the 2022 Best of Super Junior tournament in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiromu Takahashi. Number 9, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. Number 8, from BJW, Daisuke Sekimoto. Number 7, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, former IWGP Tag Team Champion, Great-O-Khan. Number 6, the Super Asia Champion from Gato Move, Balyan Aki. Number 5, the current GCW World Champion, the AEW Interim World Champion, Jon Moxley. Number 4, from Dragon Gate, Yuki Yoshioka. Number 3, from Dragon Gate, Kaito Ishida. Number 2, from Dragon Gate, Kota Minoura. And number 1, the King of Pro Wrestling Champion from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Shingo Takagi. Alright. So, we don't even need to talk about promo of the night because we all know what it is. It's that goddamn contract. Alright, you want to talk about Wrestler of the Night?
I'll talk about the Wrestler of the Night.
Alright, here are your 3 choices. Kushida, Mike Bailey, and Rocky Romero.
I want to give it to Mike Bailey, honestly.
I agree with that. Alright, and finally, let's talk about match of the night. I personally think it's no contest. It's Rocky Romero versus Mike Bailey. 20-minute banger. X Division's always a spotlight on some of the best wrestling you'll ever see. So, that's my pick.
I would agree.
Cool.
Nothing else quite came close to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alright, so now that we've got our best of the night out of the way, you want to do some predictions?
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to also, maybe not tonight, but we could, I have the bracket, maybe do a little prediction for the Trios tournament?
We could fill out a bracket. Not right now, but we could fill out a bracket.
Maybe for Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Alright, let me pull up the matches. Alright, matches. Does this have all of them? What was made tonight? Okay, that was made tonight. Alright, so ready for the first match?
I think so.
So the first match is Brian Myers versus Bhupinder Gujjar for the Digital Media Championship.
You know what I'm picking. You know what I'm picking here.
You're going with Bhupinder. I know that.
Boops.
I'm going with Brian Myers.
Is it Meyers or Myers?
Myers.
Okay.
Um,
All right. I mean, have fun being wrong, but
I'm gonna put my DQ card here. No, actually,
okay.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Not gonna do that because they wouldn't open the show with a DQ. That's a horrible way to start for everyone, for the crowd. All right.
You know, I'm gonna put my DQ card here.
Okay. All right. So next up, we have for the X Division Championship, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Jack Evans.
I'm gonna say Mike Bailey.
I am too. All right. Next, we have Chris Sabin and Kushida versus Violent by Design. It says Diener and Joe Doring, but I feel like that's not the case, considering Eric Young's promo.
That's hard, right? Because like if it's Eric, Violent by Design is winning.
Yeah.
If it's Kushida and Chris Sabin versus Doring and Diener, it's Kushida and Chris Sabin.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you picking?
I'm picking VBD because the go home math says VBD after Kushida stood tall.
Okay. I hate to say it. I think I'm going with VBD as well. I think it's going to be a losing night for the Time Splitters / Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Next up, if I can copy it, thank you. We have Sami Callihan versus Steve Macklin.
Going with Sami.
You're going with Sami?
Yeah.
I'm going with Sami too because of his loss to Moose. However, I'm putting my DQ card on this. I feel like Moose could run in, ruin the match for Macklin because Macklin stepped in his match against Sami.
Okay.
But as much as I would want Macklin to win this, mostly because he beat Jay White and Chris Sabin in the same match, I don't think they'll give Sami a loss here.
All
right. Next up, we've got Bullet Club versus Honor No More. If Honor No More loses, they have to disband.
I'm going with Honor No More and a prayer that this is the last of it.
And if Honor No More wins, they receive a shot at the Impact Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Honor No More.
So you're opting for them to stick together
and get the tag team shot. Yeah, there's not really many other tag teams right now.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
I know I am.
The thing is, though, like definitely, because Good Brothers are not. We know they're not sticking around. We know they're not staying on their contract with Impact. So they have to lose those titles somehow, but you've also got VBD.
Yeah, but VBD just had those titles and they dropped them.
Yeah.
Like they were the last people that had the titles.
True. Very true. I'm still gonna go with Bullet Club.
Okay.
Anything is allowed in the match. It's what they said. So I have a feeling Bullet Club's gonna pull some Bullet Club shenanigans. Someone's gonna show up because everyone from Honor No More is in this match, except Kenny King's not on it. Oh.
Yeah, that was the whole point, is that they were using Kenny King today as like a way to exhaust Carl.
Yeah. That's another thing. We're supposed to think that Bullet Club's down because Carl Anderson's limping. I think that's gonna be like a swerve. Like they're gonna pull it out, and win it.
Okay.
All right. Up next, Bandito versus Ray Horace.
Ugh. Going with Bandito. How can I not go with Bandito?
Yeah, I mean, it was just announced he was signed, so he's winning that.
Oh, was it?
It was announced or rumored a little while ago.
God, I love Bandito.
All right. Up next, we've got Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie versus Vexed, Chelsea Green, and Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts tag titles.
I'm going with Vex.
I'm gonna go with Vexed too, because the wild card here is Jessica. And I have a feeling they could have Jessica turn on Rosemary and Taya, and we could see a lot of fun stuff between her and Vexed. Some fun little promos. And then Rosemary versus Jessica.
I hope not, but it's possible. I mean, Havoc was the most recent addition to Decay, so
okay.
Wouldn't be the craziest thing to not have her be part of it.
Interesting.
Like, she joined right around the time that we started watching, I think.
Oh, real? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
So up next we have Jordan Grace versus Mia Yim for the Knockouts World Championship.
I'm going with Mia Yim.
I'm going with Mia Yim too. I have a feeling Jordan Grace is not going to hold on to that for very long.
You ever accidentally hit command and like another letter that like you didn't mean to hit, and you're like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
Did I just like set off the self-destruct button? Because I accidentally hit command M and I was like, ugh.
All right, finally, the main event, Josh Alexander versus Alex Shelley for the Impact World Championship.
I've got to go with Josh.
Yeah, me too. All right, so where do we differ? Brian Myers and Bhupinder.
Bullet Club and Honor No More.
Bullet Club and Honor No More. So those are the only two. Okay.
And of course, our DQ cards are on different places.
Right.
Which technically counts as a difference.
It does. Could result in a tie. But
no, it couldn't. Oh, well, yes, it could technically. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But if that happens, we'll figure it out when it comes to it. But those are our predictions for Impact Emergence. Remember, we'll be going over those predictions on Monday during our 2K22 stream. We won't be covering this in a recap at all. Liz, would you like to close out the show?
Yeah, sure. If you tuned in tonight, thank you so much. If you tuned in the future, thank you so much. If you tuned in the past, crazy. Like, shit, how'd you do it?
We watched yesterday.
Time. Oh, yeah, I guess we do. We are on, like, Season 3, Episode 72.
Season 3?
Check out. Yeah. I do our seasons based on when we do the micro.
Oh, okay.
So we had the season prior to the Micro-Omies, we had the season after that, and then the season after the past Micro-Omies, where I very sick. Anyway. By the way, it's August. You know what that means? The Micro-Omies are only a couple months away. Get excited. You should be. If you're not, you should be.
Yeah. End of year awards and pro wrestling. I got an idea for us. I think I mentioned it to you like once before, like months ago, that we do kind of a Pinfall Podcast Hall of Fame. We choose some inductees to bring in.
Yeah, sure.
Little fun extra thing to throw in there.
I'll induct a bitch. I don't care.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Mike Rome is super fun. Definitely not inspired by my absolute affection for Mike Rome. Yes, it was. So yeah, tune but don't worry about tuning into that just yet. Tune into that in January. Tune in to Monday, King of the Ring. We're going to have super fun with our WWE 22 rosters. That'll be a good time. Then Tuesday we'll be streaming, and then Wednesday we'll be streaming, and Thursday we'll be streaming. You can't get rid of us.
And we'll be doing
that's good because we love you.
We'll be doing our predictions for the AEW Trios Tag Tournament on either Monday or Tuesday. It's definitely got to be done before Wednesday because that's when it starts. So look out for that. And that's all happening at twitch.tv/Pinfall Podcast. And all of our other stuff, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, it's all Pinfall Podcast. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23, and we'll see you all on Monday for 2K22. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.